morning, and welcome to our March Borough Service Cabinet. It is indeed a privilege for me to sit here with you, teaming up to serve our boards and our communities, as we've been doing for the past decade. It's my job here to be a resource for you. Not every time we'll be able to fulfill it, but the one thing I promise is that I will always be available and that we shall be transparent. Our strength will lie in our ability to work together. And as such, I would love to be able to sit in on some of the future community board meetings, but of course, that's up to you. I understand I've crossed over. However, please always feel free to email with your concerns, your suggestions, your wants, and your needs. This morning, there is a conflict on our schedule, all of us. So the borough president will not be able to join us. If he is, it'll be for a short period of time. However, our deputy VP, Diana Richardson, will join in. Until then, we'll continue with the meeting as per the usual. Not introductions, but roll call. CB1, Jerry Esposito, or representative. Okay. Is there anyone from CB2? CB3? CB4? CB5?
Good morning, everyone. Melinda Perkins.
CB6? CB7?
Morning. So good to see you, Carol Ann, and everybody else.
CB8? Hi, Jeremy. CB9?
Good morning, everyone.
Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, CB9? CB10?
Good morning, present.
CB11?
Good morning, here.
CB12?
CB12 here. Good morning.
CB13?
Present. Morning.
CB14?
Present. Good morning.
I'm not hearing.
Carol Ann, can you hear?
CB15?
Good morning, Laura's here.
CB16?
Karen, are you able to hear?
Laura's here.
CB17?
A sec, I'm gonna go check.
Here. Good morning, everyone.
CB18?
Right here. Good morning.
Okay, can you guys excuse me for 1 second? Because I'm not hearing you. Speakers up.
Are you able to hear?
I'm not hearing. Speakers up.
Can you hear right there?
Hello? Can you?
I just turned your video.
Hear us?
Okay, you should hear. Just do a test. Real quick.
Hello? Can someone say something?
Testing.
Yes,
One,
we're
two,
hearing
three.
Okay, I can hear you now. Thank you. Okay, don't mind, I'll redo the roll call because I think I missed people. Because I see Jerry, CB1. Is there anyone from CB2? CB3? CB4?
Present.
Morning, Celeste. CB5?
Linda Perkins, present.
CB6? CB7?
Still lurking about.
Thank you. CB8?
I'm here, present.
Thank you. CB9? CB10?
Present.
CB11? CB12?
I'm here.
Hi, Barry. CB13?
Here.
CB14?
Good morning here.
CB15?
Present.
CB16? CB17?
Present. Good morning, everyone.
Morning. CB18? I thought I saw her on earlier. Okay.
Viola is present.
Hi,
16.
Viola. Morning.
Morning.
CB18?
She was here. I don't
Yeah,
think-
I thought I saw her earlier, but
she's in the chat on the participant. She is here, but she's not
okay.
visible.
Her screen is still up. She just stepped away from her desk.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good morning again. It's so great to see you. This morning's agenda, we'd like to discuss what your priorities are for the board on your district office side, as well as for the board members. What are the first priorities would you like us to work on together to make both much more effective and productive? Then the next thing up, just as important, is setting our agenda for the rest of this fiscal year, and also to discuss how we want to participate with the budget process. So with that said, until the Deputy Borough President joins us, I've taken her seat, so she's away. Let's start with the community board operational and administrative priorities. What would you like? What do you see as being important for us to work on? A survey was sent out and Jeremy filled it out twice, and that was really helpful, but some folks didn't fill it out. So I will resend it. And if you didn't fill it out the first time, please do so this time because it's really helpful.
I
But
really want you to be heard, Carol Ann.
Twice. So I think one of the first things that we are all looking at is a hybrid, because if we're all going to go back into person, our challenges are technology, and we're not there yet. And everyone's asking, why aren't you? So can you guys do it and Borough Hall help us become compliant when we have to go back in person?
by the use of technology, right? Helping you decide what equipment you need. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, and anything else that goes with it, because hybrid means your home zooming and people in front of you, so it's a challenge. I know some other community board has done it, but the rest of us haven't.
Do you know which boards are set up for hybrid meetings?
Sue has done it, right? Sue from CB18 has done it, and I don't know anybody else has done it yet, but I know
Okay.
Sue did.
Okay, so maybe we need to have a conversation with Sue.
You heard that, Sue?
I guess Sue's not able.
I'm here. I'm right here. I'm right here.
Great.
Yeah, we're doing hybrid right now.
Okay.
We've been doing it since I started in September. We don't have the best equipment, but we worked it out. We had a projector here that I'm using. We have a screen, so we're projecting from one laptop onto the screen, so the people that are here could see the people that are on virtually. And then we have a laptop in front of us, my assistant and myself, and we're we're able to see the people that are on virtually, and if they raise their hand or they need to speak, we're taking care of that end of it. So it's a little busier than what would usually go on in an in-person meeting, but it works, and it's been working. So the people on virtual can hear everybody here. We use microphones and we have them stand in a certain position. I just ordered a larger camera. So the way I have the camera situated, which is behind our heads, which hooks into the laptop, everybody on virtual can see all the people that are in the audience. So it works, it's been working for us. And we're only doing it with 2 laptops and a projector.
And just you and your assistant staffing it.
Yeah, and well, we have the secretary from the board. And our chairperson is on the left of me, but he's in front of a podium. But the 3 of us are sitting at a table, and yes, we're staffing that one particular laptop.
Okay. That's helpful to learn. Has anyone else tried a hybrid format?
So we tried it. So we had a makeshift setup in September when we had to come back before they extended the remote meetings. We basically used 2 different laptops and 1 desktop. So 1 laptop was put up high to be able to show. This was just for our committee meetings in our office, which was much smaller than our general meeting. It was angled where you could see everyone in that room. And then we used about 2 other, we used our phone in the office in order to capture the sound. It wasn't a great setup. It was really makeshift, but it was done because we had no other tool to really be hybrid, even though we had already asked to do it for assistance. And we mentioned it at our borough service cabinet meetings back then. But I'm glad that Sue Ann has something, because that sounds like it's feasible for us to do and make it work. So
Great.
Can I ask a question? Are we going, do you see us going back to completely in person? Because I know the question was asked here now with everything quieting down. We also have access to an outdoor area right nearby, another agency that lets us use the outdoor area. And the suggestion was for the last 2 meetings for May and June that we do an outdoor meeting for both May and June, and then, make everybody feel comfortable until everything is back to as close to 100% as we can get back inside.
So what our inquiries have given us so far is that there's no word. Actually, there's no word on whether or not it will be extended. I think there is the hope that even if it's not extended, that they give us some time in which to adapt, because CB 18 is fortunate enough to have a stable meeting place. There are other CBs that have to move around for each meeting, which makes it more difficult for them to comply with something like a quick return to meetings, because they have to source the spaces.
Okay.
But as soon as we hear differently regarding the expiration of the remote meeting provision, we'll let you know. As soon as it hits my ears, it's going to be in the emails.
Carol Ann, can you see raised hands?
Yes. I'm sorry. I'm taking notes. Sorry. Yes. If I look here. I'm not that familiar with WebEx, so it's a little different from Zoom. Yes, Sean.
But I'm curious first to see what Jeremy has to say, because I think he has more insight on this, and I just have a question that might be answered when he speaks. But he has to unmute himself.
You're muted.
And that's part of the problem we're going to find. So we have 18 boards here. We probably all do things in 18 different ways. So I don't think any cookie cutter solution on technology is going to be available to all of us. We bought a lot of equipment before COVID. It is static in my room. I can't have a meeting outside of that room. with the equipment that we have. I'm not sure we could have hybrid yet. We have an IT person coming in who's going to help us evaluate that, but that's going to come out of my budget. We might have to buy more equipment. That's going to come out of my budget. Eventually, we might have to hire somebody to run it. That's going to come out of my budget. So budget is a big part of that. And we're all going to have different needs here with regard to technology. So again, it's not one solution that's going to meet all of our needs. The other problem I'm going to have is space. I don't know if we're going to have the same requirements for keeping people separate. We'll get new rules soon, I'm sure. My space, which of course is where my equipment is attached to walls, if we have to keep people 6 feet apart, I could fit about 35 people in there. So I don't know how we are going to be able to have a full board meeting, let alone the public in there without a hybrid model, which would mean a change in the open meetings law in that board members would need to be able to vote over Zoom in our case. The other thing I wanted to bring up, hybrid meeting is 1A for me. 1B is translation services. I cannot afford to pay for translation at my meetings. I got to translate them into Spanish and Chinese. For simultaneous translation, that's $900 for a 3-hour meeting. I can't afford that very often. I've done it once this fiscal year. People want it every single meeting, committee meetings. And in truth, we should have that. We just don't have the budget for that or the personnel for that. And I'll shut up now and listen to Sean.
John, you're muted.
Muted.
Sorry, thank you. Yeah, you kind of expressed the concerns that I have, but I want to sort of piggyback off of what Sue Ann said too. I mean, when open meetings begin to apply in the traditional form again, that means anybody who wants to show up in person has to be allowed to show up in person. So what Sue Ann is describing is 4 people in a room and enough equipment to accommodate that. But if we are open to the public and you don't even know how many people are going to show up and you can't control that number, and we get back to meetings where there's 50 people present and then maybe another 10, 15, 20 who want to be remote, it's just something that's hard to scale up. And so I just wanted to put that out there as as an additional concern, that we've got to be thinking about this in its bigger format. I too have fixed equipment in a room that holds, what did Jeremy, you said you have like 30 people you can fit in your room? With proper distancing, we can hold 10. So that does not accommodate an open meeting. Thanks.
Well, just to give you an idea of what we have here, and yes, we are all very different. And Community Board 18 we have a room under CDC guidelines that we can accommodate 70 people. And normally we have a lot more people in here than that. We've had packed rooms with 150 or more people, but under CDC guidelines, we can have 70. Right now, we're getting about 30 people in person and everyone else on virtually. So, we are different than a lot of people because, than a lot of other community boards, because we have a different setup here and we have the room to accommodate. So, it is a little different here. I wish we could open it up to everybody and you could all come here, but I think that'll be a little bit of a schlep for everybody else.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So yes, the same sentiments as my colleagues. So I prefer to be a little proactive on this. So I think that we're all in kind of the same, we're kind of in limbo. I think we should ask the borough president to be advocating on our behalf to the governor to keep the emergency declaration so we can at least make it into the summer, virtually or a hybrid or however the other DMs are doing it. That buys us the extra 2 months in the summer to be able to, to discuss with locations, if we're if we're able to hold meetings there in the fall and next year. Is that something that the borough president, would entertain?
Well, I think the borough president's role is to advocate for the community boards, and this might be worthwhile for that to happen. So I will, of course, raise that to him. But I believe the deputy is here. If you don't mind, I will exchange seats so that she can speak to you.
Before she goes on, Dante, didn't you say that there was some policy up in Albany that was being passed by, I guess, the assembly and the
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm popping in mid-conversation, so I don't want to start speaking to an angle that I'm not fully clear. But I see so many people that I love, so many people who I don't know yet. To those of you who are finally meeting me for the first time, I am Diana Richardson. I'm happy to be the new Deputy Brooklyn Borough President. As many of you may or may not know, I was in the New York State Assembly for 6 years. So I come to this space as a person who has not only done the work, but lived the job. I'm from Central Brooklyn, Community Board 9, where I was a member on that board, where I was on the executive committee of that board. In Central Brooklyn, we overlap board 17, 9, 8, a smidget of 14, which I didn't get too deep, but and I just want to say that we're ready to hit the ground running. I got full faith in Carol Ann and her ability to do this job coming out of CB2. So you guys know at this level, there's 2 people who are centered, who are listening. I know you guys want to meet with me, so we will get there. But there are 2 people who are here. We are listening. And I know that there was some trouble in the waters previously, but I want to say that hopefully we got the right treatment, okay, in this water now, that we will get some clarity so that everything will just flow across the board the way that we need to in the spirit of unity. Again, I don't want to stop the meeting midway. We will get an opportunity to see each other in person and to connect. Yesterday made my first 30 days. Okay, so there's a lot going on. In the middle of that, as you guys know, Carol Ann just started. We're trying to get through the community board process and the applications and also get our systems up and running. Please know that over 80% of the staff left. And so it's just taking us time to rev up. Which is, I'm happy about it. Let me just be honest. It's a painful beginning because everyone is new, but it's a chance for all of us to build team and to start together anew. And so I'm just grateful for that, although it is taking us a longer time to hire some of the directors and the people who would be front facing from our division to your meetings monthly. So don't think that our lack of participation is not because we don't want to, but it's the situation in which we inherited. And honestly, finding good quality people to represent Brooklyn Borough Hall is difficult. So if you guys know individuals, you know what the quality is of the individual that should show up to your meeting and how an announcement should be done. Come on, you guys, and how to obtain the information from the board and then bring it back to us. Like I'm interviewing so many people. This is just a sidebar. I'm interviewing so many people who aren't ready for the moment. You want the job, but you got to show up ready for the moment. You guys know that type of talent. If you know individuals who would be ideal, feel free to send them our way. And then also just downstairs, we are hiring for so many divisions across Borough Hall. Take a look at the sections that we have there for employment and submit people because we're looking for a diverse staff of people who are just as passionate as the way you hear it in my voice that want to actually do a good job. I don't want anybody that just wants to work for Borough Hall, wants to work with Antonio, wants to be near Diana. No, because it's not about us. So anyway, that's it for me. I'm going to let Carol Ann come back, but I am here. I'm listening. Let me just say this thing about the open meeting law. At least this much I can tell you. I got feelers out in Albany. There is no answer to give at this point in time. Everyone has to assume you're watching the governor lift restrictions. You're watching children take off their masks this week. They're going to look to start to opening things back up to assimilate normalcy, whatever that means. All right. This is coming from the top down. You could just see what's happening in the state. You can see what's happening. So try to make the adjustments, be foreshadowing on that. This is what I am speculating that I see based off of what we all can see collectively in the news and the open media. So if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. That's it. Any quick questions? Because I want you guys to be able to like get back to your meeting.
No question, but just to welcome you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh.
Musical chairs.
And just to piggyback on that, space is being difficult to find. They don't want groups of people in their spaces.
That's the problem I have.
That's a key thing. I know to be ready, but if I don't have a location to be ready at, we're housed at Kingsborough. Kingsborough always hosted our meeting. You can't have more than 20 people in a room now.
Yeah, Laura, I can empathize with that because CB2, for instance, moved their meetings every single month, and finding space is a
Difficult.
Yes.
Very difficult.
But I guess what we have to do now is really start looking and seeing, because people are opening up their spaces again. So it might be a little easier now than it was 3 months ago. But I totally understand that challenge. So I just want to go back to
Joanne, I do apologize. I believe that Michelle had her hand raised and
I'm sorry. Yes, please
Michelle
help
had
me
to-
with that.
Hi, Community Board 8 is one of those boards, we rotate meetings every month. I had a quick question for Sue Ann. So we were also considering an outside meeting, but how are you going to have Wi-Fi outside? That's our challenge.
No, not to do a hybrid, to do an actual all in person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can't do Wi-Fi outside, that we know. So just to make everybody feel comfortable in the beginning, just to do like a May and June outdoor meeting, and then hopefully things will be even more normal in September.
If I could just jump in, there is a technical answer to that, and I'm not an IT person, but I think that that's the other pseudo hat that I wear as a district manager. There's a device that you can use to connect to your router to fill like spaces within your home that are dead zones. You may be able to look, depending on where the router is located in proximity to where you're trying to hold the meeting outside, you may be able to use that device. If it's really far, it's probably not going to work.
Yeah,
They don't have, it really depends on the range, like how many feet you are away from the main router.
Right.
But Sue Ann also raises something that what I was going to say is that there's some possibility if we go back to open meetings law, the way it's originally written, there is no need for hybrid necessarily because people will not be able to participate unless they're there in person if we're going with the traditional open meetings law. I mean, well, streaming and allowing access for people to view it is another thing, and that's something we are supposed to be doing. But our board members, participants in the meeting, traditionally would have to be physically present.
And another thing to piggyback on Sean, the way I understand open meetings law, if someone wants to be on videotape in their home, each individual home address has to be made available to whoever wants to come to that open meeting, which could be my house, which could be your house.
Let me
That
respond to
provision
that.
applies only to the board members, though, not the members of the public.
So let me respond to that.
Voting members.
I'm sorry, people are speaking. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was saying that it has to be publicized to the public, according to the open meetings law. I just want to say that my elected officials from Albany have told me that after the emergency, they are taking a look at the open meeting law and they want to change that aspect. So even when we go back to full board meetings, that part of the open meeting law, they'll be looking at that and they're looking to change that. But they said that that's a whole new process. So they just did the stopgap with the emergency declaration. But once that's over, they'll take a long look at the open meeting law as a whole. That's what I'm being told from Albany.
Yeah, to that, there are no open meetings law police. There is no penalty for breaking the open meetings law. I'll just put that out there.
Can they negate our vote?
Well, so I
It's
just
just advisory anyway.
Right, so who's gonna sue
True.
us for our advisory opinion? Who's gonna waste their money on that?
Okay, so I just want to recap and review some of the things that came out of this. So there's a sense that everyone should be able to facilitate hybrid meetings or would like to know what they need to facilitate a hybrid meeting. So what I suggest is everyone who has any type of equipment, make a list of that equipment, and then we can communicate with Do It regarding, is there any additional needs? And I think this was something we previously attempted. What else is needed to be able to host that hybrid meeting? The second thing is for people who don't have any equipment, then it becomes a budgetary issue. But then again, we'll ask Do It to provide a list of all needed equipment and staffing. Unfortunately, I don't know if we have an answer to that right now beyond your existing staff. And budget, I suggest, you ask the borough president if that is something he would be willing to fund, ask the council members, and essentially just advocate for the money in all possible sources. And space issue, I acknowledge that's a huge challenge. I've been there. I know how difficult it can be and how time consuming. But if the board office doesn't have its own space, it just is what it is. It's a challenge, and it's one we've met in the past in terms of finding space. And again, back to the elected officials to advocate for that change in the open meetings law. Jeremy, you mentioned translation services. Was CEC able to provide any assistance?
I didn't work with the previous CEC because I did not trust them. I starting to put out feelers to the current CEC. I've also reached out to the mayor's office through CAU. They're hopefully going to be helping me with translation for certain things, but it doesn't sound like they're going to be able to provide at meetings.
Okay. Does anyone else have a need? I think we all probably have a need, but does anyone have a very present need for translation services? Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine most of us do. We haven't been providing them just because of capacity, but it's certainly a need.
What languages?
Oy. We've got 31st languages spoken at one of our public schools, I would say, but Spanish, Russian, Urdu.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Well, I don't have a need per se for translation, but I do have one person at least that comes to every single of our meetings that's hard of hearing. And I just want to ask if anybody knows if Zoom has like a sign language or a translation on Zoom for a hard of hearing person.
Harry, we got something called a T-coil, which is a Bluetooth for people's hearing aids. I can get you the information on that.
Okay, and that hooks up somehow to that person.
It's part of our system. So whatever goes through our microphones is going to your Bluetooth.
Okay, all right. I'll talk to you offline. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Oh, also, I don't know if everyone knows that Joe Coluccio left. And now
How can we not know?
yeah, no, for other people who don't use him, but he was our go-to guy with all the technology. And now that he's not there, I'm afraid that we're going to get the short end of the stick from Do It help desk, because I've been having a problem with my computer, and it's Tuesday, and they still haven't called me back yet. And Joe
So
would have been on the phone and helped me through it, but now he's not there, and I still haven't got my computer fixed. So just so
Mark,
you
I
know.
will send you some info. I'll send you the right person because we
Okay,
had this
thanks.
issue. Yeah, I got you.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Um, Mark makes a very. This is extremely important because we have no one that do it to handle these types of issues. When I called Do It the other day and I was speaking to directors, they had no clue what Joe did. They were like, "Oh wow!" Like literally everything that was community board, it was put on him. Now he's gone. We have nobody. As we discuss, the technological needs of the boards, I personally believe that this is a top priority. Like we have to have this person as
Yes.
soon as possible.
So I communicated with Stacy Gardner
Yep.
because Dante brought this up. And essentially what I was told is that they don't have a timeline for hiring someone to replace Joe. Strange because Joe serviced all 59 community boards. So their suggestion was simply that we contact her and I'll send everyone the name of the other person if response to request is quite delayed.
Yeah, we have mandates to fulfill, but we don't have the backup from the city to do that.
But I'll put that down as one of the short-term priorities is pushing Do It to replace Joe Coluccio. And often Joe would respond to calls while he was on vacation. So I know it's really hard not having anyone at all.
I will make the plug. While we would love to have Joe replaced, if you could just advocate for them to hire more people in that specific department, then we, won't have to go through this again. Joe's nice, but if you have 4 of them, that would be great.
100%, Dante. I'm glad you said that. I think that's like, while we're asking, let's ask for what we really need rather than the sort of what we had to settle for in the past.
Exactly.
Jerry, thanks, Sean. Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say, or bring Joe back because now, nothing is required anymore. But what I did want to address is that I find that more and more agencies and electeds, they just don't provide us with the tools that we need. There was a beautiful press release I shared with the district managers about the creation of a climate leadership team generated by the mayor's office. Got a lot of great information. Did they send it to community boards? No. I called sanitation enforcement yesterday about a big issue to speak to the chief. Actually, it was on Friday. I was told, oh, he retired. What's the new person's name? Oh, I don't know if I could give that to you. What do you mean you don't know if you could give it to me? So it turns out it's his deputy, Ricky Cyrus. He's the new chief for sanitation enforcement. So I said, can I have his email? Oh, we can't give you his email. I had a traffic light approved in August of 2021 that was to be installed at a really problematic area in my district on a major bus route strip. It was to be installed February 2022. I contacted the Brooklyn commissioner. He says, oh, I have no update on the information I provided in my previous email. I will update you when I have that information. In other words, don't call me, I'll call you. When Joe Coluccio left, I have it on my list here, try to Do It. You call it, oh, open a ticket. That's their answer to everything. Open a ticket, The agencies can't keep hiding under the bed because of COVID. We need the tools. We need the contacts. People have left. A lot of the contacts have left. Does the agency send you an email out saying, oh, this is your new go-to person? No. So if we don't have, forget about the equipment. We need the contacts to get things done. We need to know who to call. I waste more time trying to track down a contact for an agency. And then you get the person and they're like, they were just hired. Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know. It's just ridiculous.
But Jerry, you've preempted the other part of the meeting. So I don't know if you mind if let's just get back to this part and then we'll get to that.
I'm not going to repeat this later. Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to get on a rant, but I've been doing this for a while, as everyone knows. And if we don't have the tools, whether it's equipment or the people to work with, you know, and don't get me started on the Civic Engagement Commission. Total waste of time.
I kind of want to get you started.
Fire, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah, Jerry, by all means, get started.
Caroline, I have a
And
technical
Laura?
question. Yeah, I don't stream right now, which I'm doing it against. I don't even know how to stream. I was never set up to stream. And we're working, and I know some other boards obviously are streaming, but I don't even have that technology or how to do it. So like I need guidance when it comes to technology because we're in violation that we don't stream.
Okay. What format do you use for your meetings?
We're on WebEx.
Oh, I don't know much about WebEx, but I'll find out and get back to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I post my WebEx meetings to a free YouTube account. It goes, we put it up on the YouTube account the very next day, so it's there, and it's
I don't know how
free.
to set that up, Jerry. Maybe I'll pick your brain if you don't mind.
Call my office, speak to Joanna. She's my expert on that.
Wonderful. Thank you. I
And-
appreciate it.
And I'm finding that I'm getting a lot of cooperation from the schools. And if we do go back in person, we're going to school, and there's no fee.
Cool. Carolina, so I might need that help too. So I might have to call you, Jerry, or Joanne.
But I know streaming off of Zoom, I know is just essentially a setting.
Oh, is it?
Doesn't
Okay.
require a whole lot of technical knowledge, but WebEx, I'm not sure because I've never done it.
I have Zoom, so I'll call you later, Carolina.
Yeah,
Community,
it's a
we
setting that
stream.
you set your
I mean,
meeting.
we bring our board members in as panelists, and then we let the public come in the masses as guests. But so everybody could be at the meeting while we're using the WebEx system. But we do post, again, we post our meetings the next day up on YouTube. It's free. So if anybody couldn't make it to the meeting, even the board members, or if we're not sure if somebody said something, we can go back, go to the tape.
Okay.
We use WebEx also, but we live stream too. And it's not that difficult. You have to set it up prior to the meeting, but it's quite simple. Quite simple for it.
I'll be calling you too, Michelle George, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I'm feeling overwhelmed. Thank you.
Yeah, same. And Anya in my office too has been helpful with other boards and just trained me last week so that I could do it without her if need be.
And Chris Couture at WebEx is very helpful. He'll do a training session for your board if you like, or for the staff if you like. He's very, very receptive.
Jerry, can you send us that email address and contact for Chris so that I can share it with
Sure.
everyone else? Thank
Do
you.
you want me to put it in the chat?
Sure.
Okay.
Thank
Very
you.
good.
I continue to use David Perez from Borough Hall. He's going on to the mayor's office. I have his cell phone, but he continues to assist me with WebEx. Any WebEx question, he will answer the WebEx question. So I can share that with you. He's open to answering anything WebEx.
We'll try our David's colleague here first, but then for other things we can try WebEx directly. So we'll give David a break for right now.
Caroline, I just wanted to point out the inconsistency here. Some of us use WebEx, some of us use Zoom. I don't know if anybody here uses Microsoft Teams, but there are a variety of platforms. So, to have one IT person or one, DCAS helping us with equipment or various programs, we all have different needs. So I just wanted to point that out. I don't have WebEx, but my board has a YouTube channel as well, but we use Zoom.
Yeah, thank you. Maybe we'll do a survey and see who uses what. Does anyone have anything else in this section? So the first priorities are one, how can we facilitate hybrid meetings, translation services? We need to advocate for Do It to replace and add to staff, which I think might be an overall budget request. Anything else? Okay, I didn't hear anything else, so we can move on. What does your board in particular need, your board members? What needs do you see as being essential?
Definitely a land use zoning training, 100%. I think it would also be beneficial if they had a training on the city's finances, because a lot of people believe that we can just purchase, things that they put in their request, like plants. Yeah, those two things I think would be very beneficial for each board.
Okay. What should the budget cycle be included in that?
Yeah, yes. Budget cycle, what discretionary funds are, the whole works. I think it's beneficial for the board members to know how the city works.
And also the district needs to put that into, because they think that we're wasting time just going over the district needs reports every year, asking the same questions and then not getting the right response. So a separate side, you don't have to put it all at once, but down the line.
I would also submit that they should do sexual harassment trainings, diversity trainings. I mean, we're part of the agencies. They're also part of the agencies. They should do the trainings as well.
Agreed. Thank you for that. Okay. Next item on the agenda is setting the agenda for April through June. So we've been doing for the past few years some meetings with agencies and some, like this one, just with DMs. Do we want this to continue? Do we want to change the frequency of that? And of course, which agencies would we have come in these next few months? And to Jerry's earlier point, I am trying to update the agency contact list. So I might be reaching out to you because I know lots of people left on the list, the master list here. So that's a task for the next week or so. So
Sounds like Do It. Can we meet with Do It?
Okay, one suggestion on for Do It. Sean.
I kind of put this into a few different categories because I do like the model where we meet just as DMs and then intersperse meetings with specific agencies. But then there's also the all cabinet meetings that had some value as well. And maybe that could be, I don't know, a kickoff meeting or in the middle of the season or something. But I mean, so my three different categories are meeting on issues that we all have in common, so it's on a service delivery level, so that we can gain traction by working together on things that we all experience as district managers in our respective communities. And then I thought very hard about how to word this. Helping agencies engage with community boards. And the one that comes to mind most dramatically is the Department of Transportation. I think we need to maybe retrain them back to a transparent and communicative environment. And then, and then the other thing is just sort of like the things we already do in common, our budget consultation and district needs statement, advocacy for increasing our own resources, which is something that we've covered. We've alluded to it in every single sentence we've already said today, but we certainly need some capacity support. So I think that if we're to cover those three things, we do need to go back and forth between DMs only and fuller service cabinet and then picking out those agencies that we all feel a need to speak to.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Jeremy and Sue hands are raised.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I agree with Sean on everything she just said. I mean, I know we each have our own issues with different agencies. Right here, we have also DOT and DEP. We're on DEP property, and we can't get them to respond to us for nothing. Every time I reach out to the assistant commissioner and I get the same bull. And it's very frustrating because it's also causing problems in the community. And response from these agencies, you know, I tend to think they forget that we're all here to try and help and to alleviate problems in the different neighborhoods and areas that we work in. And we're just not getting that response from many of them. So I agree with Sean on that we should meet by ourselves as DMs, but we should also have those agencies, you know, address the issues in a more timely manner, respond to us, you know, with a little bit more respect. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Jeremy?
My priorities are DOT, DOT, DOT. The worst agency in New York City, the least consistent agency in New York City. I am so disappointed that the Brooklyn office remains unchanged.
Absolutely.
Josephine?
Yeah, I just want to say that I agree with all of my colleagues who have spoken. You know, we've also had a great deal to piggyback on what Jerry said earlier in spending time just to find out how to, you know, who to contact, how to get responses from agencies. And I really do feel that there's been a marked difference in the last few years, depending on your liaison at the agency. If they've been around a while and have worked with boards, they get it. So I think that taking some time, maybe we could pick a few agencies to introduce their new teams. I know a lot of the teams have changed, but I think it's important that they come to a borough cabinet meeting and hear from us and what our issues are. You know, DOT certainly, Sue Ann, I know we've talked about DEP. I mean, I can't even begin to verbalize the frustration that we've had in just getting simple responses back from agencies. So I do think that's helpful, and I just wanted to chime in and add my agreement with all of my colleagues. So thank you.
Eddie?
Yeah, there's one other group that's just brand new, is the DCWP, which is all those illegal vendors. Actually, tomorrow we're supposed to meet up with them again, because our opening season for the amusement is starting in April. So we're trying to be proactive because before the summer, because last year's summer was a zoo. Nobody was there. The police wouldn't come there because it's not their jurisdiction. The park said that they could only shoo them away until they get back on the streets. And when they were on the street, DCWP was nowhere to be found because their enforcement didn't start until September 1st, which of course, they're here now for the last 6 months. And they still haven't given an answer of what they said. They only have about 20 enforcement agents, give or take, for the whole city. And they're supposed to be only there for between 9 and 5, which is ridiculous because they're on weekends and after hours where, you know, commerce begins, where they leave. So we're trying to get them to the point to tell us what they can do, and or at least give some power back to the police, you know, or at least let them do what they should be doing to, you know, to tell them to move along. Because right now they're horrendous. Starting in April, even in Brighton Beach, where they have a bid, they are, how do you say, there's no enforcement power there. And for them to come to the outer borough, it's not worth their time to come out here. When they come here, it's too late. The vendor's gone, you know? So they need some sort of...
Focus is workers' protection now. They don't care about that, Eddie.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And but the whole thing is, you know, it was given by the last administration so that the police can't do anything now. So the question is, what can they do, if anything? And of course, we have the beach, which makes it even worse because beaches, but the PEP officer and PEP officers, we know, don't do anything as much with enforcement. They just shoot them away, and then that's it. So it's all that trying to figure out what their duties are. So, but we know what the duties are. It's just that they don't have enough enforcement in their enforcement unit.
I see a budget request.
Yes, budget request. But that won't be until next year. So we're worried about what's happening now. Meaning, you know, it's gonna come in the summer, and right around the corner for its opening day.
Sure. Jerry?
I was just going to echo what my colleagues are saying, but bring the commissioners into this forum one at a time, the way we used to do it in the Howie Golden days, and we give them the questions in advance if we can, and put them on the spot. Don't accept the borough commissioners. It's got to be the commissioners. If it's DOT, it's got to be Rodriguez. I write to him. He doesn't even answer the emails.
Thanks for that. Anyone else on this topic?
Yeah, I have my hand up.
Michelle, please go.
The agency I'm most frustrated with is the DEP as well. I think if we have a representative, they should be able to answer our question. We don't have that currently. I'm at the point where I'll send an email and I'll say second request, third request, fourth request in the subject, and maybe I'll get a response. It's so frustrating for us. So DEP's on the top of my list.
And just,
Go,
I was
Sean.
going to add, oh, I'm sorry, who was going?
Go, Sean. I'll go after you.
I was just going to add in the chat, but I feel it bears mentioning out loud. When we spoke with Borough President Reynoso at the last meeting, we talked about the practice that Borough Hall used to be really helpful with in terms of follow-up, kind of looping. Once an item is on the agenda, it can't be like, well, DEP, we met with DEP, done, check. Diana Reyna every month would come back and say, so last month we spoke about this issue with DEP, where are we at, who's heard from them? And so kind of just keeping that thread throughout our season of meetings, I think is important. And I think it's sort of like in the hands of Borough Hall to do that. So I just wanted to say that that commitment was iterated at the last meeting. And I'd like to keep that thread going because it was helpful, maybe, I think.
Sure.
I was just going to briefly say, I personally would like to see the Department of Sanitation, just because, the preliminary budget just came out and they're, talking about what, $47.8 million worth of cuts. I think we need to be proactive and start those conversations, because this is something that's going to affect everyone. So, if we can have those conversations with them at the beginning before this happens, I think that works to our advantage.
Can I just say something? It's very funny because sanitation, and I know that they're suffering a lot of cuts, but they have been the most responsive to the community board. We just started. As a matter of fact, it starts tomorrow night. I walked up and down the area with them, and we wrote down approximately 50 cars that are abandoned. That's a very big thing in this district, abandoned cars. They're doing a tow operation tomorrow night with the precinct, and they've been the most responsive. But what I was going to say also is that the funniest thing with DOT is they don't answer anything we request from them, but they're bothering me about a bike lane that is so far out of our district, almost so far out of our district that it's practically in the next community board. It's like across the street from the next community board. And they have a one-track mind, and that's all they're interested in. And it's very frustrating. I send her things. She sends me back, but when are we meeting about the bike lane? But when are we meeting about the bike lane? Bike lane doesn't even belong in that area. And it's so far outside, almost outside of our district. It borders the next district. But that's all they have like a one-track mind. It's what they want. They're not interested in listening to you. And yes, if we can have somebody that could check up on what we're asking for, or be an advocate for the advocates, it would really be helpful. If Borough Hall could do that for us, that would be great.
Who's your rep? Who's your liaison, Suan?
Diana Soriano. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, Suan, we gotta talk.
Yeah.
Same.
Great. So we have DOT, DEP, DCAWP, and DSNY as priority agencies at this time. Am I right?
Jeremy has something else. Jeremy, go ahead.
Anyone else?
Sorry. We all got our capital and expense budget priorities list back. Anybody see any appreciable difference from years past, decades past? Why do we still do this? It's useless.
Exactly.
Absolutely useless.
Exactly.
They give us the same non-answers every single year.
Yep.
We never get anything in the budget. And you know, to make a budget request that way, we're waiting 8 years. We had our project approved for having accessible bathrooms. The city should be embarrassed we do not have accessible bathrooms, but we're not a priority, so it never happens. 8 years on now.
This is Celeste, everyone. Parks should also be on that list. Right now, we don't have a pruner because our pruner was indicted. So just want to give everyone a heads up that come July 1, we won't have any cycle pruning because we have no pruner. They're doing everything in-house right now. And that update that I received was probably a couple of weeks ago. So we probably want to do something about that.
Just a little small point. I know CB15, Laura and I have a problem with our sanitation garage, which we've been asking for the last, I've been asking for the last 30 years, but she's been asking for the last 10 years. So is there any way we can get something for our sanitation garage to come to some plan? Because they took it off the board pre-COVID, and right now we still need a garage.
It was a location and somehow we lost it and we don't know why. That's the problem.
Well, we know why. They just said the money was gone, but now that the money's back because of infrastructure.
I think they want more money for it.
Yeah, well, we have to get the wheels rolling. It just affects both of our community boards. And I just want to make sure it pushes it forward this time around, only because the garage are not getting any better. They're just going to get worse and worse. Her garage is out of trailers. My garage is.
We're in the street. We're on Knapp
Yeah,
Street.
the street.
They
Thank
got
you.
thrown out by DEP.
Oh, did they now? Oh, okay.
Just partially, Eddie.
Partially, but my garage is falling apart, and they're behind people's homes for the last 45 years.
So those are more like district specific issues. So maybe we could talk offline about
definitely.
that.
We definitely
See
will.
if we can use this office to help broker a meeting.
And Richard Barrett knows about it too, so that's a good thing.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Thanks.
So we can follow up with that offline.
And going back to Jeremy's point about agency responses, my board is going to make that sort of the subject of our public hearing. It's going to be less about the individual agency responses, and we're going to put some focus on the process itself. But Celeste has also facilitated some conversations directly with DCP. I think they're, kind of beginning or making some gestures toward listening to some of these complaints. But I think, we do need to coalesce around this process and our expectations and our sort of, not being willing to go along with it any further if we're not getting out of it what was promised to us. And if DCP is going to wrest from us the document, the district needs statement. So I think that could, we could use a fuller conversation just focused on that, because that's going down a pretty deep rabbit hole. But I've said this a number of times that I think we might be able to improve our own budget consultations if we're showing up at the city council budget consultations. And I printed all of the agendas for all of the budget hearings. They're all happening this month. They're in my calendar. I'm going to try to go to some of them. I think Celeste dropped the document. Celeste, I'm going to let you take it from there. So in case people want to have access to that, and maybe we can work together and talk about which ones community boards can show up to so that we have a voice directly to city council instead of this sort of weird, that shoots and ladders game is what comes into mind when I think about our budget consultations.
Yeah. Just to follow up on that, it is in the future of CB's working group shared drive. I'll drop the link in the chat. So all our information, or just information that folks have shared through that process, is in there, including the list of hearings.
Okay. So there are two things that came up. One, DCP. And that's kind of critical because the statement cycle sort of should be beginning right about now. Do we want to have them at a meeting, at a service cabinet meeting?
I just don't know if it's a process that's been, predates some of us. And I think we just do this dance. I don't think they have any say over the process. It's something that's on the books and we just go through the motions is what it feels like to me.
Well, that might be so, but I think as a group can probably advocate and effect change by saying this doesn't work and this is why it doesn't work from where we sit, because these things are probably created by people who've never been involved on the other side. They've always been sitting on their side of the table.
But when they did the electronic version of it and we sat down with them, which was after the fact it was created, they didn't, they really couldn't change anything. They couldn't make the agencies be more responsive. So I don't know what impact. I mean, I'm all for advocating. I just don't think that they have that power. Bringing them in, they can't make these agencies be more responsive.
Well, maybe if our DMs, and I know you can, make like a really great, advocacy request to the borough president, he can probably also reach out to his colleagues, because this could not just affect Brooklyn community boards. It has to be citywide. We're all faced with the same thing.
So if I can just add, following up on the meeting that we had with city planning. So for those that don't know, the Future of CB's working group is still meeting. And I'm happy for everyone to be looped. Anyone can attend those meetings. They're open to all managers. We spoke with them briefly about the concerns about district needs. Also, specifically, I think that Sean, as well as Susan from Manhattan 3, emphasized that there doesn't seem to be ownership, right, of those reports anymore. Even the actual cover page of most of those reports who use the form says published by city planning, even though we're the ones that are inputting all of that information. So our next steps on that are to coordinate another follow-up meeting where they're going to walk through how they use that information on their end. And then we're supposed to provide them with any feedback specifically on ways that we would like to see them improve the form, just to make sure that both of our needs are obviously being met. And I think we're also going to be emphasizing, that we want to have ownership. I know personally I've spent, at least half an hour trying to format a cover page only for it not to work. And then having to use theirs. So there's obviously frustration all around on that side. And I think the benefit of having it facilitated, it could be in this meeting as well, but at least on that end, we get to hear from our colleagues in other boroughs that share similar challenges. And I think that there's attention being paid because we're all saying, hey, listen, we're all seeing the same problems when we're doing this work or something along those lines. But I'm happy to just add everyone in the borough onto that thread. I believe since our last meeting, all of the Manhattan CBs are now on. Doesn't mean you have to go, but you have the option. We're going to have a meeting tomorrow afternoon, actually.
That's great. I know board members are also, as I think it was Eddie mentioned earlier, also frustrated with the process because you get the same response, right? There are two responses generally. One being not a priority at this time or some such, and I don't remember the other, but you really do get.
That's your elected official.
Yeah.
Further study needed.
Or contact the agency. It's like, I am contacting the agency.
Yeah, so maybe, so we're moving along in time and I want you to get to do your updates. So I just want to figure out our schedule for.
Caroline?
Yeah, Barry, sorry.
I want to add, somebody mentioned, I think it was Eddie, that we need to get Do It in. I would like to add that 311 is part of Do It. And maybe somebody who is in charge of 311 at Do It. I don't know who's in charge of the training, but I've noticed a trend lately that 311 tells people that the community board handles this. Community board doesn't handle anything. We go to the agencies. They're not sending people to the proper agencies. They're sending them to the community board. Now, people expect us, when they call us and that happens, that we can, if it's a DOT issue, that we can actually go fix a streetlight or fill a pothole. We can't do that. So they're not sending people to the proper agencies. Somebody needs to retrain these 301 operators that community boards don't actually fix problems. They go to the correct agencies and try to get those agencies to fix the problem. So when we do it in, we need somebody who knows, who's in charge of training over 311.
So my suggestion is when we decide on the agencies that we want to come in, that by the next Tuesday that everyone has submitted questions that they would like to have the agency answer, so that when I send them the notice that we'd like them to, be an agenda item, they can come prepared with the answers. They can't say, well, we don't have a response for that, or we didn't know you were going to ask that question. I think it will just lead to more productive meetings. So we'll have homework at the end of each meeting to prepare for the next meeting. With that said, who will we like for our April meeting, and what format do we want that meeting in? So from where I sit, I think it's been a while since we've had the agencies. So next month is a must for agencies to attend. All of them, actually. But is there any item that we would like to have specifically addressed in April?
The replacement of Joe Coluccio.
Sean?
DOT is my vote.
And we know Jeremy is going to be DOT, DOT, DOT. What about May?
I concur with Joe Coluccio. A new hire just started here in the office, and I submitted a request since February 24th to start the process of getting an email for the staff. I never received that email until yesterday, and my first contact was on February 24th, and I was told the same thing. Joe has not been replaced. They're short of staff. I think it's important. I'm trying to get her laptop all set up and get her set up on the computer. I have no one to assist.
Thank you. So for April, we have DeWitt and DOT. But it's going to be an all agency meeting all the same. What about May?
I like the issues, but you said DEP. I heard DEP brought up a lot.
Yeah, DEP, absolutely.
For May.
Is there a way, this is Melinda, CB5, is there a way that we can pull DDC in when we do DEP?
DEC is a state agency. I think we
Department of Design Construction, not DEC.
Oh, DDC.
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you.
Is that do other districts have an issue with DDC? Should that be a district-wide, or does that need to be something more focused?
Just to put it into context, a lot of the work that's being done by DDC, they're not adhering to guidelines for time frame of work. They're not putting out notices. We get a lot of complaints about it.
Yeah.
A lot of sewer work going on in the neighborhoods, several neighborhoods, these projects, and DDC is on top of it with DEP. I'm not sure if that's what Melinda's referring to, but they're working together.
Thank you.
I know DDC is doing a project next door to where I live, and there isn't one sign. So I do understand.
Gentlemen, I'd say it's also who we get from these agencies, not that just they're represented. I like what Jerry was saying with let's get the commissioner instead of just hearing from the borough commissioners over and over again.
Yes.
And DEP is an agency that's been completely restructured. So I think it's important to have those at the top, be present at the meeting.
Yeah. We're making a push for them to stop the practice of sending just a liaison. I shouldn't say just a liaison, but you know,
Only.
as the charter says, it should be someone with line authority at the agency.
I think in most cases, a liaison is fine, but when we have a presentation or a Q&A, I think somebody at or near the top makes more sense, not, you know, oh, I'll take this back, and we never hear from them again.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we definitely should have the commissioners. We should also have the agency, the liaisons as well, right? They both should be in attendance. So there's two people from the agency that heard our concerns, and we know how to reach both of them. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be working with the liaisons anyways, so they might as well be there, be present, and hear our concerns directly as well. So there's not misconstrued from whoever the agency representative, the commissioner is.
Carol Ann, you said you were going to send the survey around once again, and I wonder if maybe it would benefit all of us to have another question added on so that we can indicate our top 3 to 5 agencies on that survey, and then you'd have everybody's sort of top votes, and you can, you know, do it, prioritize accordingly.
Okay, yeah, sure. I can amend that survey. Thanks,
Do
Sean.
you actually see the results of the survey as well?
Sure, I'll share it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Including both my answers?
Pardon me? I didn't hear.
I'm going to joke about everything, Carol Ann. I answered twice, so I want to be ready.
Just a question. First of all, are we going to be doing this virtually, or are we going to be doing this with the agencies in person? I mean, I know Borough Hall has a lot of big rooms. I mean, I just feel it's more effective when you well, I don't know if we could call it face-to-face anymore, but mask-to-mask. But I feel it's more effective if, you know, people are in person than, because I'm having a great deal of difficulty hearing a lot of people on here. It's very muffled, and it takes me a while till I figure out what they're exactly saying. So I don't feel we would be as effective on, you know, being virtual as we would be in person. There aren't that many of us. And, you know, if we meet with a few from there, I mean, I don't see a problem being in a room together, you know, like I said, masked and maybe distant or whatever. I mean, I was at the Borough President's meeting for gun control, and we were in a boardroom, and nobody had a problem with that. And whoever wanted to wear a mask was wearing a mask. So I'm just wondering if it would work better, if it would be more to our advantage to see these people face to face, so they know we mean business and not just, you know, trying to understand what they're saying, or they're trying to understand what we're saying, you know, on a computer.
Yeah, so I can give you an answer on that right now, but that will definitely be in the bucket of things to consider for that meeting. And prior to the pandemic, we would have met in person, right? That would not have even been a question. So I'll raise it here. We'll see what the situation allows, and I'll get back to you on that.
Okay, and also with EDC, I have Marie Centano. I don't know if any of you deal with Marie from DDC.
Mm-hmm.
She's been wonderful. We have a huge project going on here in Bergen Beach, and it's been going on for 3 years. We're hopefully done in a year. But she's been very responsive to the people that are directly impacted by the project. And I've had no issues with DDC. I don't know who everybody's representative is, but she's the representative I deal with here. And she's always, you know, calls back, responsive, whatever needs to be taken care of, she takes care of. And she has somebody that's in charge of that project directly who communicates with everybody, you know, in the area. So, you know, with them, I don't have an issue with DDC. I just don't know who anybody else deals with there.
Thank you, Sue-Ann.
To address what Sue-Ann brought up, I don't think there should be a problem meeting in person. I mean, all the officials are meeting in person every single day. The agencies are working from their home base already. I don't think there's a problem. I know Jeremy has said that he prefers virtual, so why don't we do a hybrid, Carol Ann? So whoever from us wants to be at Borough Hall can be at Borough Hall, and whoever wants to be virtual can be virtual.
Well, it's not my call, Barry.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
I will put it on the list of things.
It's everybody's. I mean, if you follow elected officials on Twitter, you'll see that everybody's out and about a meeting and everything. So,
Okay, so it's 11:20. I want to speed up things a little bit. So for April, we have Do It with the 311 division and DOT. For May, we have DEP. What other agency do we want to have in May? Do we just want to have one? We have DEP and we do a hybrid DM agency meeting. April is going to be all agency. Let's not forget that. All agency in April because we haven't had them for a while.
So if possible, if we could add 311 to the meeting with all agencies, I think it would make sense since all agencies work with 311. And then if we could have Parks come to the one with DEP as well, just because that's pretty sensitive.
Okay. And June, how do we want to do June? All DM? Do we still have agencies we want to talk to? Is that where we want DCP to come in before we begin the budget priorities and needs process?
I think we should be a little selfish and see which agencies we could pull in that are gonna be supportive of the community boards. Perhaps CAU. I mean, they've been advocates for the board in the past. Fred Kreisman's there now. I had an issue. They were not supportive. I mean, let's be a little selfish. Who's going to provide services to the boards to support us? Even that, that great civic engagement commission.
I would also submit that we should meet with the NYPD before the summer. I guess the borough, whoever the borough chief is, that I think that would be beneficial before we go into the summer. They could at least give us an idea of if there's any issues that they foresee happening. I think if we have a heads up on what their plans are for the summer, hopefully we can work with them to keep everyone safe.
And also, if you could get that DCWP on the June meeting right before summer, where all the vendors come out. I think that would be good hand in hand. And then they might ask the police for their help, and whether they can do it or not, that's another story. Also, I have a question with all the other DMs. We purchased this $10,000, what do you call that? Report? Not beta NYC. What was it?
Beta. It was beta.
Beta.
Don't even get me started.
Has anyone used it? We got
Airtable for that.
What was that?
We got Airtable for $10,000.
Is that what it is? Okay, I'm still trying to figure it out. If
we're using it, but it's not $10,000 worth of service. No.
Okay. I mean, do we want them to come back to
Celeste has asked about that, and she asked about it in the last meeting. She has a vendor that actually has a CRM. Celeste, can you address that?
So I was working with Salesforce prior to the pandemic starting on developing some type of demo for the boards to see if that would be something they're interested in. They reached back out to me about a couple of months ago asking if there would be any interest now that we're a little bit further out of the pandemic. I suggested that they reach out to Borough Hall directly or to all the Borough Halls directly. And then I said I would share that information with everyone here just to see if we're interested in having them come talk a little, or doing a demo basically for what they could provide as a tool. And I explained some of the role that we play, the things that we do, so that way they have a better sense of what they would be demoing. But mostly I included service requests, and then I talked a little bit about some of the other things that we do in the office, such as land use, etc. But I really focused on service requests. So everyone else could just chime in if you had other things you want that tool to do. I also emphasized that we don't have a platform for all of us to kind of easily communicate. So to see if they have some kind of internal, program that they could build into this, where we would be able to, just leave kind of like running threads. If someone has an issue with technology, they could just I don't know if anyone's familiar with Reddit, but very similar to Reddit, where you just start a thread and then people can kind of comment on that thread. It's not something you're going to get a million emails about, but you'll see it whenever you go on to your CRM for the day. And if you have something to add, you can add. If you don't have to do anything.
I might want to rewind on that a little bit, Celeste, because I have a newer staff person in my office who's an Airtable expert. She's done a lot with it, and she's looking at our system right now and has indicated that she sees a lot of ways to, I mean, she did say they didn't do us any favors by setting it up the way it did, but it looks like she has potential to redesign what we have without a whole lot of effort. Then if that works out, I was gonna, see if we could bring it to the other boards, to scale it up. I don't know if I want to give up on Airtable if there's still some potential in it.
I won't get any more money for another program. They won't trust me again after that beta fiasco.
I think it makes sense to see if we can, salvage what we have and make it useful. And then just know that we have an alternative should we ever need it,
I know
Appreciate it. I appreciate
that she has to leave at 11:30. But really quickly, I know that Borough Hall is in transition, but we need a temporary directory of the staff. I hear HR has changed. My liaison is no longer my liaison now. Lily is no longer my rep. I don't know who the new person is, the HR director. So if you could just give us a temporary directory of the staff we have. So I was sending my time sheets to Melanie Ruiz and Maria Meyer, and I understand Maria Meyer's on. So I don't know.
Michelle, they just sent out an email today with the HR staff with 3 names that helps. I don't know if you saw
Oh,
it.
great. Okay, I didn't read emails this morning. Okay.
Yeah,
But the
Tamisha,
directory, we don't know.
Tamisha sent out an email today.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's-
Does anyone have anything that we must discuss in the next 2 minutes?
Just a quick question about the applications. They were due last Friday, and I just wanted to question how much of an input will the community boards have? Will we be looking at any applications, any new applications, or reviewing the old ones? How's that going to work?
We will seek some level of input based on the applications that we're considering.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, everyone, sorry that I've got to run, but this was great. You have my contact information. Feel free to reach out at all and any time. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you for listening. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Have a good day, everyone.
Right.
Okay, I can't. I guess Jesus will end this.
Get out. Hold on one second. It's all right. I don't know what we're gonna do.